going to be a blast.
It's
Setting it
always a
up for me.
blast hanging out with you, brother. All
I
these
appreciate
wonderful people.
I appreciate that, brother. I
You
appreciate
said it, Dale. You said it.
Thank
Amen.
God. TGIM. Thank God for Monday.
That's it. That's
And
it.
then TGIT. Thank God for Tuesday and Wednesday.
Thank God for every day. That's
Amen.
it.
Amen. All right. As Dale just said, TGIM. Thank God it's Monday. Hello, everyone. My name is Robert Blakely, better known as the Blakester, coming to you live here on YouTube. So if you're joining us live there out there in YouTube land, feel free to join us. You can go to live.thelosttransition.com. What we do is we meet here every Monday, guys, 12 Eastern Standard Time, over 4 years running so far. Haven't missed a beat. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm pretty proud of it. So, first off, I got to give thanks and grace to those of you that show up in the panel here. Otherwise, I'd just be kind of talking to myself, and that would be no fun. So the way we do things around here is we like to celebrate the wins because, I love living vicariously through my friends. And after those wins, we give a little bit of a teaching component, if you will, leading from the network marketing space, all because under the brand name of the Lost Transition, our ultimate mission is to try to help people transition from what we call the job to more of a freedom lifestyle, to be able to work for yourself, call your own shots, make your own hours, those kind of things. As I always say that every time, I just can't help but smile and reflect on the long commute that it takes me to get from my bedroom to my office, and the traffic that I don't have to fight, and the bosses that I don't have to listen to that are full of crap. Let's just say that. And on that note, who wants to start us off with some wins? This is going to be week 43. We're calling it Inbox Influence, or our subtitle, if you will, is Lead Activation Mastery. Part of the reason that I wanted to go this route, right, if you've all been paying attention, is we've been talking about this network marketing thing and also these lead magnets lately, right? So we also hear a lot of folks out there that talk about building your list, right? And then if you paid close attention, you've been around me, I say you're going to build more than one list, right? You're going to build a list, but then you're also going to build a buyer's list. We've talked about segmentation. Virgil's brought that up as well in some of our how-to Tuesdays and Wednesdays, right? But what I want to dive into a little bit more is the semantics of getting into that inbox. And Dorea, you'll probably love this part that we're going to talk about today. Because in essence, I want us to think about what we're going to talk about today, and we're going to have to kind of take into consideration the artificial intelligence element that most of us, if not all of us, are using, and we're going to have to refine it just a little bit. Okay. So you'll know what I'm talking about once we go through the slides, but we have a good show, good information to share. Make sure you take some notes because, as you know, we like to drop some gold nuggets. Sometimes we drop gold bricks around here as well. So, who would like to start us off with some wins? I got one win, but I always will go last. So, and Rita's not here, so we miss her. We miss her dearly. Hopefully, she'll be back next week. Anybody want to
Hopes
start
every
us off with some wins?
hopes everything's okay with her.
Oh, she's fine.
Okay.
She's being her entrepreneur herself and calling her own shots and up with her mother, helping her mother, taking care of personal business that needed to be attended to. So yeah, everything's great for
Nice.
her. It's a
Nice. Well,
beautiful
since I
win.
opened up, I'll start. I'll open the
Sure,
ball.
please do.
Major win, I think, coming back from last week is still that consistency, because it's easy to go astray in your objective, especially when there are a lot of social dynamics involved and such. So sticking to the program no matter what, I think is a big win. And things that I put on the board this week, I had two interesting meetings, so I'm seeding two potential new contract. I won't sell the skin, the bear skin before I get it,
Right.
but it's going so far so good. And I fell into the lab again. I discovered some new AI that are a complement of things that I needed or that I had envisioned to do next. So I've been using that as well, and that's a great win. And I created a new team for an opportunity that I want to promote across North America. So that conversation is actually on point for today because I gave them the team environment, I gave them the brand conversation, I gave them the email template and such. But the question was still, well, can we get that hour or two together, putting these to practice and on board? And this is when that DM communication is gonna come through. I do have a good approach at bouncing off messages that are exchanged, but still any new insight is a new string to my guitar. So I'm very much all ears today, bro.
Awesome. Well, I do have to warn everybody. I'm
Mm.
literally fighting right now with ChatGPT to get the last couple of slides. Um, but we'll work it out.
Things
We'll
gotta go on.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I mean, first off, I even shared a post on Facebook this morning that came from another friend of mine. It had this bouncing ball. In fact, before I screw this up and tell the story wrong, I should look at the post itself. And I don't normally share other people's content because, well, Facebook, and that's exactly how I put it out there. But it's a black background. Here, let me share the screen just real quickly so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Because when you see the visual, it just makes better sense, right? If we could get this to work. One moment, please. It's like, Rob, you're trying to do too many things at one time. I don't think, sometimes my laptop or computer, my Mac can keep up with me. You guys ever feel that way? Or it's just that we want everything right now. All right. Okay. Can you guys see that graphic now? Everybody see that?
It's coming through. I see a black screen so far. Yeah, I see the discipline and motivation graph on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Motivation, you got a lot of motivation, but eventually your motivation will die or wear out. If you have discipline, your discipline is steady and easy, and it's always there as long as you have that discipline.
Mhm.
But so
That's
that was from our friend Peter Ray from over the pond. And I thought, yeah, man, that was an excellent thing. But I don't normally share those because they don't get passed out to the rest of the audience, unfortunately. But so that was a perfect graphic. Thank you for sharing. Who else has a win that they'd like to share?
Yeah, I have a win. I
All right.
just I just celebrated my 51st birthday.
Ah, that's
And,
right. Happy birthday. This is correct. Yeah.
yeah, so
Leave a message.
yeah, I'm so grateful. It's really interesting because I guess it's called an omen. I saw something a few years ago, and for whatever reason, I thought it was some kind of omen that I wasn't going to see 51, and I'm so glad it was a lie. And it helped me not to
Love that.
be dependent on, numbers and signs and different things like that. Stick to truth, stick to day by day, and be appreciative and stuff like that. So I was really shocked and grateful that I actually woke up. Another big win is in line with the same thing was, I've been in my niece's life in the last 2 years, and I have a 16-year-old today who's 16 today. And when I first came into her life, she was always saying, Auntie, you're just being extra. You're doing too much. because I came with a different leadership style and accountability. And so it was a little bit of pushback, but to see her um, today, and one of my love language, my main love language is acts of service. So she orchestrated and took leadership, even over her mom and her siblings to organize our one car garage in order to fit my SUV in there for the winter. And she told me, to go away for a night. And when I came back, the garage was organized. I can fit my SUV in a one-car garage with all the stuff that we have, and had dinner ready for me. And she took the leadership role into all of that. And so that to me was amazing to see her step up and really embrace her role. She had to learn how to like lead her mom and lead her other sister who needs a lot of needed step-by-step direction. And hearing her process of how getting frustrated and figuring out how to communicate to different levels of participation
Wow.
and abilities to be able to get it done in a short period of time. So it was nothing less than phenomenal. I'm so grateful to God for that.
Wow. Amen. And how old is she?
16.
So she been
16.
hanging around you or what?
Or yeah, for the last 2 years. I've been in her life since 2023 as a full-time
Wow. She's
guardian. Yeah.
learning quite a bit from you, huh?
Yeah, I knew. Well, I knew when I came here, I was like, oh gosh, I only have a couple of years to get her ready for the real world. And I just knew we had a lot of work to do. And so this was a testament that things are working. And yeah, she's I'm just so grateful for the whole family, but I'm grateful
Oh,
for her leadership.
no, I'm blessed to even hear the story because I remember when you took on that responsibility, and we talked about this before. So, God be to you for first off taking that responsibility. I do want
Thank
to
you.
touch on your 51st birthday as well, because I can relate to that being 56 at the level 56, excuse me. You know, back in the day, maybe you can relate to this. Back when I was around 25 to 30, you know, I kept hearing that, well, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years, right? Most of us hear that. And I couldn't see past 30. So, digging a little bit deeper into your number stuff, yeah, you gotta, some of that's okay, but if you read too deep into it, then it's not real, obviously, right? But I'm blessed that you made it to 51 too. And the last thing that I want to say about that is I couldn't understand where 30 to 56 went, right? So it was like a blink and a blur. It's like, man, I remember those times. They were fun. But my point is that we're all here for a reason, right? We're all here for a reason, whether we choose to believe it or not. There's something in this world that we're meant to do. Many of us just unfortunately don't fulfill that full purpose. So I'm very glad to say that you're a friend and love you deeply and all the things that you're doing and the amazing work that you're doing, with the veterans as well. I mean, even that alone, the things that you're taking on are absolutely phenomenal. And we love you. We love you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Love you
Thank
back.
you. Thanks for being here and thanks for sharing. I love it. Man, 16 years old because and I get chills even thinking about that because I keep saying all the time, we have to teach our kids while they're young. There's been a generational age gap, and pardon me if I go on a little tangent here for a moment. I believe that this all happened about the late 80s, early 90s, right? And when parents started getting in trouble for disciplining their children. And then we had children that were having children. So there's a different mindset that happened in that generational age gap that happened. Because I could tell you, as a person who had my older sister that passed away, two younger siblings that are at least a decade difference, and the way that we grew up were completely different, right? My younger brother and sister used to get away with murder. My older sister and I'd be like, oh man, no, that would never happen in our house. We would talk back and pow, we get knocked through a wall. There was discipline in the house, right? Which is why there's still that discipline to this day, I guess. But thank you for sharing that, my friend. Rita's in the house. Woo! Anyone else care to share? Who wants to follow that one up?
That's a tough one to follow, but but anyway, I have a couple
Good.
which you already know, Robert, but I finally got the videos working on the Social Prospector Pro, so that was a huge win. So I could actually figure out how to use the darn software,
Right.
and so that's kind of cool. And he really does a good job with the videos, so it's very easy to figure out and understand what each thing does. So
Rodney's
that's
top notch, man, and he understands the psychology behind it as well.
Yep, yep. So he makes it very easy to understand, and what the importance of each feature is and how you can use it to benefit your profile, right? And so that's very, very important, because I have another software that I'm using for a friend of mine to try to help him, and he might as well not do his videos because they're useless, right? So it's like the blind leading the blind. And I told him that, I'm like, these videos are useless, so we might as well not even watch them, right? And so I'm still trying to figure out how to use the software. But anyway, back to the stuff that you're teaching. I managed to do my first lead magnet got that done over the weekend.
That's
And
good for you.
I had to wind up. I couldn't figure out how to, because I had already Chat GPT had already created the lead magnet, so I couldn't figure out how to backtrack and get it to put it into Chat GPT. So I just opened it up in in Canva, and had to drag through the free um, pictures and kind of pick one and slot it in there. I thought I did a pretty good job with matching them up to what each part of the page was talking about, to kind of match it up so it didn't seem disjointed. And so that, and then so I got that set up, and then
It
it
looks really
also,
good, by the way. It looked very
thank you,
professional.
thank you. Um, and Chat GPT also did an outline for the capture page.
Mhm.
So I went into to Now Site and did the capture page. I
Nice.
just have to do the thank you page.
Nice.
And it also set up a first and second email for me.
Very nice.
So I have to go in and set that up, and then I'll be ready to put that out there, and then I've got to go back in, and the tough one's going to be the traffic lead magnet, and then of course redoing the uh, the uh, the list building course. I think I'm going to leave that on my blog, because I think that's a less intrusive. Um, People, I think, have a tendency to not put their guard up when they go to a blog versus a lead capture page, because you're not asking for any information
Yeah,
when they're going to a
100%.
blog, right? They're just going to a blog, and you're teaching them something. They're not going to a lead capture page where they're, oh, well, I have to, yeah, in order to get it, they're doing it. But maybe what I might do, instead of asking for their information, I may just have a page saying, here, if you want this, just click the button and then send them to the blog, and
Yeah.
they can
So
go through it there, right?
blogs do still work. I do want to say that publicly. A lot of people forget about them or don't think that they're valuable, but yes, they do still work for
and
sure.
and that's where I have the actual course is on my blog. It's set up in pages, right, on the blog. And what I did is I took it and I combined it into an ebook. Each page of the ebook is one video with a link that goes to the blog, right? So they download the PDF and they click on a link and it goes to the specific part of the thing. So I just
Right
got to
way,
redo those videos.
right way to produce some traffic.
Yeah, well that's what it's all intended, right?
Yeah,
I
that's
just
that's in another class that you're gonna love today because we're gonna talk about the emails that you're gonna be working on.
Okay, cool. So those are my wins, and then I actually
Awesome.
got to Social Security today and got because my bank closed my account. I don't know why, but banks are weird today. So I actually got to Social Security and got my account changed, so I don't have to worry about that. So that's a good thing as well. So that's one less thing on my mind for
Good,
the upcoming month. So
good, good, good.
yep,
Great to hear, brother. Thank you for sharing.
yep.
Anyone else got any wins they want to share? Rita, care to share any wins?
Hey everybody.
We
Just
missed you.
yeah, I missed you guys too. Broke me out of my routine. But I this visit was an epiphany. I was only supposed to be gone for a couple of weeks, and some things happened along the way that, even though we plan things, there's no perfect plan. It's whatever it is when you get to it and when it works. So I kind of wanted to become the Rita stir. Let's see, I don't even know how to put that. Pinder stir, Blake stir, Pinder stir, because my mom was like, you kind of like your dad. You got stuff done, and that's what my dad. That's what my father would do. He's still with us, but he's 96. So he's not doing that anymore. So maybe that came through that, but I was the person who just went in there, okay, this needs to be done, and get that done. And then we went to the next one. Oh, we got to do that too. Oh, and then so it turned into uh, various projects. But what I learned was that, and I'm in Florida, I have no family here. I was so happy to help where I could. There's another Blakester term, happy to help. So I was glad that I was able to help them, and I call them the munchkins because they are shrinking. And it's just, I get to help. I get to do things for you for all these years that you've helped the children, all of us. There's
Right.
five, I have four siblings. So, along those lines, not to get into too much, but I was just happy I was able to help them and see them
Amen.
in their years.
Amen. I feel that way too. Like when my mom comes to visit me, like
Mm.
just relax, just chill out. She goes and tries to do dishes. We're like, no, 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 we're not allowed to do any of that.
That sounds so familiar. But there were
Yeah.
two of us ganging up on her, like, "What are you doing?" And then my mom I was sitting down. She had to pass me. She's so quiet and she's sneaky, but not on purpose. I didn't see her. I didn't hear her. I was like, "What are you doing?" And she's in the kitchen with dishes.
You know why that is, right?
No, why?
Your mom's a ninja.
She's operating on stealth mode.
That's what Diane tells me sometimes. You didn't see my ninja moves?
I'm gonna tell her that one. She'll have a big charge out of that. Little ninja.
I love it, love it, love it. Well, great to have you back, my friend, and thank you so much for sharing and being here. Appreciate you.
They learn that in mom school, guys. That's what they learn.
Yeah,
See, because when you're children,
that's
they
it.
need to learn how to sneak up on you to catch you when you're doing something wrong. So that's a skill that God gives them so that
What
they can sneak up on you when
you
you're
know what?
doing something wrong.
Dale, you know what you just made me think of? I wanna agree with you, but correct that. I think we're all given that skill. What happens is they revert back to childhood when we are really quiet and sneaky and trying to get into something. That's too much, too funny. Well, so my win, and then we'll get started here into this information is I got a new chiropractor. Woo! I'd been seeing a chiropractor. I've been spending $70 a month and going once a week, and found out that I can actually get it done through the VA, Dorea, because being qualified disabled, quote unquote disabled, I didn't know that I could do that though until just recently. And then it was interesting and funny to me because when I went in there, so real quick story, started chiropractic way back when, back there in Florida, actually, there's a great doctor by the name of Tony Nalda that I used to go see. And anyway, got rid of him. I had what was called soldier's neck. Straight. It's straight. If you go look at my Facebook profile, you'll see what I'm talking about. I posted it the other day. It's straight. But I had a straight neck. We got that fixed. My back was a little off, got that fixed. But there was a long period of time that I didn't have chiropractic because of moving and life and all that fun stuff. Went back to chiropractic here recently. And it's like, I don't want to say anything bad about them because I was grateful and happy with the service and it relieved my pain. But it's more of a one stop, quick in and out kind of thing. There's no x-rays that were taken. So I go to this new one, and the first thing they want to do is take x-rays. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Go look at the x-rays. They're like, yeah, your soldier neck, it's back. So great. So I got that straight neck. You can't say that I don't have my head on straight. That was the joke that I put into the Facebook post. But yeah, man. So we started off with the new Cairo last week and they went aggressive. So I went this morning and it was really fun. With this one, I actually get a little bit of a massage. So they were focusing up here on my neck, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love this. I can deal with this. And they do the little TENS unit on my back and brought me in there, gave me my adjustment. I'm like, the power is turned on. And then they you'll have to go to Facebook to see my picture here in a little bit when I post it. But I got put on the stretcher today. Yeah. I was like, stretcher? Okay. It was quite interesting. It was fun. Pulled my lower back down a little bit. And all I could think of was medieval times. Being put on the stretcher, They joked about, yeah, it might actually grow an inch. We'll see what happens. Wish I was a little bit taller. Wish I was a baller. Anyway, so that's my win for today. Let's get into the fun beyond the fun. So I've got some slides, as I said and mentioned. Bear with me because ChatGPT did not want to cooperate towards the final slides that I had. I'm telling you, the things that I got to go through just to create a beautiful show and all these beautiful slides, and ChatGPT failed me. But we're going to talk about inbox influence, lead activation mastery. Part of this is, again, the things that we mentioned at the very beginning of the show is tapping into an inbox, right? Building the list of people. So it's one thing to create these lead magnets, but then once we have them on our list, like, what do we do next, right? What are we supposed to say? Or is it a newsletter? How often should that newsletter go out, right? We've been kind of touching on topics like that. So I wanted to take the information that we've been sharing since we're starting to dive into this arena, if you will, and do my best to simplify it because, that's what I like to do. So I kind of try to tear it apart a little bit, and this is what we got. So you've heard me mention before, and we've talked about this. Yes, you can start off with a three email series, right? There's not a problem with any of that. And I'm bringing this up at the very beginning just so that we're clear on the whole topic and how we've been talking about it over the past few weeks. The main reason why you'll hear me say is 12 emails is because of what we call the sales zone, right? When it comes to that, you need to have a contact typically with a person, let's say, just to be realistic, if you guys will, so you guys will really understand it. Anybody who is an orange to a coconut, that's the best way to say it, will require 5 to 12 touches before they decide to buy on their own. Okay. Remember, what we're teaching around here is sales psychology. We want people to go be exposed to the information and make the decisions themselves so that we're not pushy salespeople, right? Best way to close a customer is to let them close themselves. You just give them the information, right? So don't quit before the conversion begins is why I want to put this at the very beginning. So you might have different campaigns. That's why I gotta say this at the right time, right? So you might have different campaigns that will go out to these same lists, but all in all, there should be at least 5 to 12 touches to reach that sales zone. I'll go over the numbers real quickly one more time. I know that we've talked about this before, but there's a reason, and we want to be very clear on this so that we understand why the Blakesher says what he says. Only 1% of the people that you talk to will close on that very first attempt. Okay. Now, understand this is coming from 20 years of going just knocking out people's doors and closing left after right, right? Close, 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 close. The only reason that I was able to do that is because it was solving a problem. That was the biggest reason. Secondly, I was able to build that know, like, and trust very, very quickly, like within the first few seconds. And a lot of that had to do with my composure, right? How I stood in the door. Did I look professional? Or did I not, right? But 1% will close on that first time. The second time typically close about 3%. Fourth time is 5%. I believe the fifth time is 10%. And then, I'm sorry, wait, one, two, third is 5, excuse me. That number should be fourth is 10%. But the fifth to the 12th, your conversions go up to 80%, right? So, in order for us to do the best job that we can within the email, there's certain things that we want to take into consideration. And we're going to use this formula. If you want to write it down, take a screenshot or whatever. We're going to call it the open formula because what do we want people to do? Well, we want them to open up our email, right? So we're going to discuss this real quickly, and then we're going to go into the last slide that I have, and then we're going to go into topic and keep that slide up, and then open it up for any questions, and then do our best to answer any questions that you guys might have as well. Okay. So open is the formula that we're going to work with. One job per email, personal voice, enter with a hook, narrative before pitch. I wanted to break it down to each individual slide so that we had one focus in one direction. Yes, there's a method to my madness. So the O in open is one job, one job. So that email has one job, is the way we want to look at it, right? We want to simplify this. So part of why I say this is like it says on the screen. It's challenging for the brain to follow more than one direction at any time, right? If you have to focus on multiple things, this is why people have a problem focusing, especially like me when I got ADHD or ADD, right? And this stands true too. And I don't want to get out too much of a side topic, but I was thinking about this when I was creating these slides. This stands true for your business, right? If you have focus on one thing, well, that's where your attention goes and that's what's going to grow. If you have multiple businesses, now that's less focus on this one thing So, you know what I mean? Like if you stretch yourself too thin, then things start falling apart. So just want to say that because confusion kills conversion, right? But it's one job is what that email is there to do. Now, the P in this is to have a personal voice in it. That's why I said what I said at the very beginning, because a lot of us are using artificial intelligence, right? So although we're using artificial intelligence, we want to make sure that there is a personal voice within that email. This is the important part, right? It needs to sound like a real person, not just a, hey, I was shooting this email because I wanted to sell you something, right? People are going to respond to people, not programs. So there needs to be a personal tone behind it, have some type of emotional connection. And if you have that emotional connection, you'll have more replies. So I've just on a personal note, because it happens all the time, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, this email stuff doesn't work. It doesn't work. Nonsense. I know people right now that have tremendous email lists and we swear by them. I can show you stats. When I send out an email, I get people that look at my email. I get people that will click on my links. And I even get people that will unsubscribe. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. If I'm not for them, I'm not for them. That's part of me being married to the process and divorced from the outcome, right? But what ends up happening is that once you have that one list, your job or your mission is to have that personal voice in such a fashion to where people want to open up your email or they'll get off, right? But then eventually, once they've joined something that you're in, or they've bought a product from you, that email should now be separated out of that big old list, right? And that would be what we call your buyers list. So we're going to build a general list and we're going to build a buyers list. That being said, we need to think about the personal voice within each one of those strands of emails. Everybody with me so far? Make sense? Two different lists, two different thoughts or views that you have to think about when you're going on and sending out those emails. Okay. Now, the E is to enter. You enter in with the hook. So, just like when we're doing advertising online, there needs to be some kind of hook that gets them to want to even read or open that email, right? Inspire interest immediately. And that best way to do it is by that header. What is the email title? And if you need to, you know, write down a specific title and then throw it into ChatGPT or whatever artificial intelligence that you're using and ask it to identify, you know, how likely this particular headline is of somebody opening it. But if it's got a hook to where it solves a problem, because this is what we've been talking about, then people are more apt to open it. And if it's a personal connection, like maybe it has their first name as an example, hint, hint, hint. Hey, John, here's the email you requested about blah, 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 whatever it was, right? And especially if they're expecting that email, because on the back end of where they put their email in on the thank you page, you said, expect an email from so and so, or maybe even said, hey, here's how to whitelist my email. There's another tip. If you don't have this involved or included, you should add it. Again, I'm going to preface and say it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be there. You just have to take action, put it in there, and then refine it later. Okay, refine it later and be very clear about this. We don't have to be perfect. We just need to get started. Okay? I see that big old grin on your face there, Trey. That wasn't meant for you, but hey. Now the N is in the open formula is narrative before pitch. So remember, we've been telling you guys, you got to learn how to ask questions and tell stories, right? Here's where you're going to tell the story before you sell. Okay? So we tell the story before we sell. So we need the hook so that they open it up. Then we need the relationship building, maybe some personalization with the story about what's going on and how it's going to particularly solve their problem. Then you sell. Okay. So for a little bit more of a clarity issue here, for the flow itself, for open, we first off need to grab their attention, which again, piquing curiosity, right? We always talk about that. Tom and Jerry, day 5 of the boot camp. Those are the things that are going to cause people to take action. But we need one path and one outcome. By that I mean you can't send off an email. Well, let me rephrase that. I hate to use the word can't. I wouldn't recommend, unless it's a newsletter, that you have different topics or different paths, different outcomes. Each email should have one path, one outcome. That's what I'm getting at. If you send one email and then you say, well, here's this, and oh, by the way, here's this, and here, click here for this, and this here for that, you're automatically going to lose that customer. They're not going to go through all those email, all those other things. It will take some time before they get primed to do something like that, right? So the point I'm making is one path, one outcome. So it's the hook, the story. Here's that whole path is part of that story, and then here's the outcome. Within that story, build some curiosity, right? And then what is that outcome? That's the action that you should feel. So once you check it out, you go here. This is how you're going to feel once you've resolved whatever that issue is that my particular product solves. Make sense? Everybody with me so far? Okay. Yep, that was it. Okay, so that was the last slide that I had. And then ChatGPT wanted to be a brat. So after that, so now we're talking about the psychology of the inbox. And my apologies again that I don't have a slide to share with you. But look, we've always been talking about this. Curiosity is realistically what's going to trigger people to open. There needs to be some kind of hook. It's difficult. How do I want to phrase this? Let me step back to say this. And I've said this multiple times. It's almost like an option close. When people have more than two choices, it automatically creates confusion or disinterest in the brain. So, on the psychology side of things, we want to vividly be able to paint them a picture. The only way we're going to be able to paint them a picture is by telling them that story. Part of why we're able to do that is because we as human beings have been conditioned to listen to stories if they're told the right way, right? If there's no meaning behind it, no tonal inflection, it doesn't keep the listener involved, then obviously they're not going to want to listen, right? So think about your email just as if you were telling a bedtime story. I know it sounds a little cheesy, right? But the thing about it is that if you set it up the right way and every time you're giving some kind of value within it, what happens is it becomes a dopamine hit. Right? So every time that I open up that email, I can tell you right now, there's been email lists that I've been on that oh, cool, I got that email. I want to open it because what happens is it's a dopamine hit because it's like a reward, you're going to learn something, you're going to get something out of this. If you can create that type of environment within your emails, people will now be more apt to open up. I can tell you right now, off the top of my head, Omar Martin, that dude has an email campaign like nobody's business. And whenever they're doing a launch, it's wildly successful. They'll send one email the first day, what is it, 7 days before. First day is just one email, second day is two, third is three. Seventh day, they get like 7 emails. They get bombarded. Emails just go out like lunatics. But people are happy to get their emails. They're happy to learn. They're happy to see. They're happy to jump on any kind of webinar he does just because they want to go learn what's being taught. So think about that, right? If you can get micro yeses within those emails, then that's going to also help you build commitment towards whatever that final yes is. Now, remember, what we're talking about, just to be clear, is that email is only there to help you bridge the gap between whatever that lead magnet was and whatever that potential product that you want to sell on the back end is. Make sense? Right? So as an example, if it's health and wellness product, I want to lead with some kind of health and wellness lead magnet. Make sense? Okay. So other triggers that drive action that I wanted to talk about. And beyond that, what we're talking about is just literally leveraging built-in human behavior. So triggers that drive action, though, are emotional hooks. Right? What is going to fuel them into action? Right? If they see that whatever that product is going to solve their problem, then they're more apt to move into action. As an example that I can think of off the top of my head is with the weight loss that I've been working on, right? And my challenges with my neck and my back. Well, I went and I looked. Thing that I came up with was DDP yoga. You know? I made my own decision just from seeing an ad, just from going back and looking at it. I looked at it literally probably about 4 or 5 times before I made that decision to say, yes, that's what I was looking for, and then jumped in. Nobody had to sell me. Get it? I closed myself, just like all of us close ourselves on buying something. All we're doing is we're thinking emotionally first, well, how bad do I need this if we're really responsible, right? How bad do I need this? Does the pocketbook outweigh the need? Right? That's how we look at things. It's all emotional, right? So what other triggers can drive that action? Well, I can tell you social proof helps, right? So if you have those emails and you're telling a story, put some social proof in there, right? Here's what Dorea Walker had to say about the experience as an example, right? Social proof removes hesitation. Benefit the stacking, or excuse me, benefit stacking helps as well. We've talked a little bit about that. What are those particular benefits that they will gain from whatever your particular product is, right? If you can stack those benefits, then that can help them also move into action. Because again, one last thing that comes to my mind, people only know what you tell them. Mark my words. So if you tell them too little, they won't move into action. If you tell them just enough, they will move into action. If you tell them too much, whoa, I'm confused. That's too much, right? So what is too much? Well, two is too much when you're looking at options, right? But if you're having a standard of benefits, I would not use more than five. If you're using more than five, then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it does this, that, this too. Again, it starts to trigger different responses within the brain when you have too many. But if you have even 3 or 4, these are the three. Let's go with 3 just to be fun. 369, universal magic numbers there, right? Speaking of numbers, right? But let's use those triggers that drive action within those particular emails. Right? And again, I wish I had these slides completely done because I wanted to talk a little bit about what it would look like if it was a before email versus an after email. And the best way that I can explain that is by having all that content that we're talking about within that email. It just makes a world of a difference versus just a plain email that's only written by AI that may be even hurting the sale because it's asking for the sale without telling the story properly. You know what I'm saying? So every email, you want to make sure that you read it, even though AI is reading it. And then don't be afraid to question the artificial intelligence. Do you think this is the best email? Do you believe that this would, move people into action? Ask questions, tell stories, right? We're telling you this, and it comes true now even more so because of the artificial intelligence. Now we have artificial intelligence. Let's ask the artificial intelligence the questions. The other thing to be considered is asking the right questions. If we don't ask the right questions, we don't get the right answers. Sometimes we might not know what the right question is. Sometimes we have to ask the question, what would be the right question to ask, right? But if we go through and we think about these things that we're talking about today and adding that value within it, the hook, the story, the social proof, and then the call to action, then we should have a better open response rate and more people that actually take action, meaning that they click on the button and they go to wherever you want them to go to. Briefly mention it when we were talking about Dale as far as creating traffic. This is something that we'll probably dive into a lot more next year, I think. My plan is to develop a 52-week schedule. I start us off at the very beginning and start talking a little bit more about traffic generation. One of the things that Dale mentioned, blogging. This is something that's still good. You can literally send people to a blog and use that as a lead magnet. Here, if you want to know more or get updates, our newsletters work too, right? There's different ways that we could drive traffic to our list. But then what we do on the list is what's going to matter on that bridge. Remember, I was telling you, it's nothing more than a bridge, and we have to look at it as a bridge. That's what the emails are for. It's to bridge that gap between you and that other person until you become close, tight, connected on Facebook, have each other's cell phone number or whatever. Right? But there's a clear difference between just sending off a basic email and what we're talking about here today. So, your next step, your mission, should you decide to accept it, Mr. and Mrs. Phelps, is to apply what you learned today. Apply the open formula to the next email that you send out. Dale, that's you too, right? Make small tweaks. If you've got it already out there, like I mentioned, our main thing is to take action, put it up there, put it out there, and then go back over it, read it. Does it make sense? Ask those questions, tweak it, refine it. That's your challenge, okay? We do this mostly in part because I love doing this, and it's a way for me to kind of share and help get a lot of the knowledge that I've had in my brain for many years out and onto the canvas. But ultimately, because like behind the whole premise of the lost transition is we want you to be able to take these things that we teach you and be able to really learn skill sets that you're going to need. And I don't mean to sound like a oh man, doomsday guy or anything like that. But I'm telling you right now, if you're not in tune with artificial intelligence, you're not in tune with even having basic skill sets of communication, you're not in tune to sales or being able to generate an income, the future's, man, it's going to get worse before it gets better. I don't know if you guys, I'm not a big person or component that sits there and stares at the news or does any of that fear mongering stuff. They're talking about dropping EBT here in the United States. Food stamps. What happens when people go hungry? There's no rational thought, right? I'm saying there's talks about, oh, they're coming for my jobs and artificial intelligence is taking over and yada, yada, yada. Well, don't be that person that gets left behind because you don't know how to ask the right questions or tell stories so that you can sell and create things or make shit happen, as I like to say. You have to have that skill set in today's society. And if you don't, we got to work on it. We got to work on it. So anyway, that's my information today. I trust that you guys got some value out of it. Anybody get some good notes there and some things to ponder? Any feedback? Anybody want to chime in? We still got 2 minutes. And my apologies, ChatGPT. The first time it failed me. And I started yesterday. I always start the night before on the slides and I start talking them out and you know.
Robert, do you have like I asked you for last week's slide deck, do you have a link for me for this week's? Because it takes me forever to try to capture the screenshots. So it's easy for me. I can take my time and, go through them and
Oh,
capture the,
so what I was gonna say, because I don't have all the slides, right? I only had what I showed. Remember, you're subscribed to my YouTube channel and we stream it there. So all you
right.
got to do is go to the video and just stop it where you want to.
Okay. So I'll just do that then.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
probably easier. This way you don't have to download or do any of that stuff or worry about it. As far as the
Oh,
content that you got out of this, did it make sense to you today?
Yep.
Cool. Good
can I
stuff.
ask you to
Yep.
Yeah.
can I ask you to put back the slide where you have the acronym outline
Yeah,
open
yeah,
there?
yeah.
Just that first one.
Certainly. Certainly, brother. Do, 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 do. Oh, 1 second here. Back, 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 back. There he is.
Yes, that's the one. Y'all know you're going to hear about that tomorrow.
That's honestly like I love that you're following up on the How To Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I love that. I really do. You know, it's again, you and I will probably have to speak side chat about this, but this next year, at least for me, I've got some things planned. I there's only so many different ways that I can share this content when it comes to sales psychology, right? There really is. There's a lot of information, don't get me wrong, but again, there's only so many different ways that you can skin a cat. And I've presented things different ways, but I think this coming year we're gonna go, from an A to Z perspective, almost like the boot camp, if you will, but break it
Right.
down so that people have a good series that they can watch or listen to or subscribe, man. Let's build that YouTube channel.
We already have a great synergy because most of the time, I don't know how you do it, but most of the time when I come in on Monday, you're already seeding what I had in mind to talk about on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Because, for example, I'll give it out right now. Coming back from the last conversation we had, the email warm-up conversation is where I wanted to go Tuesday and Wednesday so we can revisit all that. And this open formula is definitely a driving conversation there. So I don't know how you do it, but we're in sync and
You
definitely
want to know how? I got your answer. You want to know how?
uh,
I'm a ninja.
you sneak in on people. I love it. But yeah, it
I'm a
makes
ninja, my friend.
things for everybody because um we have this bag of knowledge that you drop on Monday and then on Tuesday we can go into these practical type demo uh rollout. So yeah, no, we definitely need 2026. Yeah, it's gonna be something different. Yeah.
Yeah, and oh, God willing, pray for me that I'll have the lost transition done. And uh, it's just even with the artificial intelligence, man, with Claude AI, it's been very challenging. I hope this doesn't come out the wrong way when saying this, but I really loathe it when I feel smarter than the artificial intelligence. And it
Well,
bothers me. It's like, why? It's you're programmed by a human. Just do what I'm asking you to freaking do. There's so
but
many moments that I get like that, and I'll be like, my
it's
chat
just
GPT, yeah, exactly, Jackie, exactly. You just want to punch it in the face, and it's like, oh, goose fraba.
maybe I think there's a truth in there. We are smart than others. And no
But
matter
it's
what we
crazy 'cause my
smart.
mind though, Virgil, like look, I've said this before jokingly, but I still believe it's true. If we could pull out like a chip, a USB card of my brain and put it into yours, your circuits would fry, man. I'm like here, 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 and I'm there, like at 20 different places at the same time, you know? So I've had to learn having ADHD, how to take what people would call a disability and how to hone in on those things. You understand? Like for me, it's like it when I look at people addressing ADD or ADHD, it's because the mind works faster than normal, you know? Like my mind
Exactly.
is we run quick, like you seen, y'all could tell.
What what
Virgil
the
gave me an idea. I'm like, oh, we're running with this. 24 hours later, I'm like, I'm done. He's like, you're done? I'm like, bro, we don't mess around, man, you know? It's moving to action. It's always moving to action and then go back and look at it and fix it, refine it or whatever. But yeah.
I personally think that we as human will always be forever smarter than AI. You know why? Simply put, we think in different dimension than the code. The code doesn't
True.
include emotional intelligence.
Well, but you're starting to deal with more of the logic and reasoning side of things with
Mhm.
AI and where it's at right now at this particular point in time. When it crosses that threshold, that's when we actually have to worry about things. But we're not there by any means, obviously, because
I don't think it's going to be able to crush that. It might look like, because that's the likeness of it, but
well, we'll see what happens.
emotional, the as a being, human emotionally are so complex that I
Yeah.
don't think that there'll ever be an algorithm that can replicate that complexity. And not only that, we have the ability to evolve emotionally or even devolve emotionally. We are all knowing and no knowing at the same time, right? So, and
Coconuts.
when you factor in the logic and the reason and the emotion, you get these three dimensions that we're supposed to be operating in,
We're a
right?
lovely bunch of coconuts. We're complex, but we're simple. Once you understand us, it works. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for all the banter. I appreciate y'all being here. Hope you had a fantastic time. Thank God it's Monday. Let's go out there and kick some ass, take some names, and we'll see some of, not all of you guys on How To Tuesday and Wednesday. Tutu, love you. Bye bye.
Thanks, everybody.